Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of The Critics. My name is Tony Gonzalez. I was thinking, with Avengers Infinity War coming out soon, why not start reviewing some of the Marvel films? I just did Black Panther because that just came out last week. But why not do some of the other Marvel films? Now, instead of bogging you down with reviews on like 18 different movies that have been made, I thought I'm going to break them down into sections. So for today, we are not talking about one or two, but three movies as I do the Iron Man trilogy. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to talk about them today. I'm going to let you know my thoughts. Iron Man is a classic character when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Obviously, Robert Downey Jr. started this all. Marvel took a chance on him back in 2008 because his career was quite non-existent at the time, and he was awesome. The original Iron Man movie, as everyone knows, is how we got the Marvel Cinematic Universe today. If it wasn't for that film being so successful, there is no way we would have a third Avengers film on the way. No way we would have a Black Panther movie that just came out that was phenomenal. We wouldn't have any of this if it wasn't for this original movie. So we got to give it much praise. Just a couple thoughts about this movie to begin with. I very much enjoyed the casting. The casting of Jeff Bridges was great. I very much enjoy him as an actor. I think he's phenomenal. Admittedly, his motivations weren't quite there. He was just like this money-hungry businessman who just wanted power, who just wanted control, and that started the trend of the Marvel villains, for most part, of just kind of being forgettable, but yet he's such a good actor, and he played that role so well, even though it probably could have been written better. But still, gotta give him major credit. I love all the other casting as well. I like Jon Favreau as Happy Hogan, who also directed the movie, so you gotta give him an extra little nod there. But just him in general, great. Obviously, RDJ, he is Iron Man. I don't know if they could ever replace him. They couldn't, realistically. They'd have to replace the character, but as Tony Stark, he is Tony Stark. There is no one else that could fill that role. Gwyneth Paltrow, who I'm not the biggest fan of, but she does really good as Pepper Potts. She does very good. Some of the smaller cast, very well as well. I'm not a big Terrence Howard fan. I was completely fine when they replaced him. More on that later. But overall, great casting. The visual effects were amazing. I just watched this trilogy last week, and this movie holds up. It is just, it's so good. The visuals of it, they don't seem cheap or corny. They just are fantastic. This movie is fantastic, absolutely. Obviously a good story, a good characterization. As someone who did read some Iron Man comics growing up, I did get to see a lot of the things that I saw on pages translate to screen very well. And again, going back to how good Robert Downey Jr. was in that role. I only had a couple small flaws with the movie. I thought overall it was great. I thought a couple of the jokes didn't quite land. A couple different scenes to me didn't fit quite right, but overall, great movie. I'm gonna give this movie an A- for Iron Man the original. Let's talk Iron Man 2. Now, Iron Man 2, this movie got, I feel, a lot of flack because of how great the original Iron Man was. But I tell you what, I went back and I watched it last week, like I said, it's still a really, really good movie. Overall, it's really good. Mickey Rourke was a really good bad guy. They kind of wrote certain parts of him a little, but his acting was phenomenal. He seemed to be a threat, and I really enjoyed that. Sam Rockwell was another actor, I should say, who his character got brought out to life, and you felt the motivations. I felt in this movie, you felt the motivations of the antagonist a lot better than you did in the original Iron Man with Jeff Bridges as Obadiah Stane. This movie really captured it. The inclusion of Scarlett Johansson, I was a little leery about, I remember, but she really does pull off this character very well. I won't say she is the quintessential Black Widow. I still think that there's a couple other actresses who could do it better, but she does good. There's no denying she is good in this role. She's not bad by any means. I love that they put Don Cheadle in the role of War Machine, aka James Rhodes. I think he is perfect for this role. Terrence Howard, to me, I've never really been a big fan of him anyway, but he just didn't fit right. Even in that movie, he was some of the biggest flaws that I had was him. But this movie, getting Don Cheadle, I think was a phenomenal casting choice, and I think he translated much better into the Marvel trend, and I think he was great. Now, there are a couple more flaws in this movie than there was in the original. In this movie, some of the biggest problems is that the CGI went a little too cartoonish. There are a lot of scenes where it feels like an animated movie, not a live action movie. The first movie did a really good job of getting the CGI looking so realistic that it made you feel like it was real. This movie had flaws with that. It was not able to translate that so well, and it came off more cartoonish. Also, towards the end of the movie, some of the one-liners got to be a little much. Some of the one-liners landed perfectly. They were great. You kind of feel, you can understand why Tony Stark acted the way he did because he thought he was dying. Spoiler. But at the end of it, knowing just how he lived through that and how he could deal with that, like, you make you understand. But by the end of the movie, some of the one-liners they're just unnecessary and they're dumb, and they were trying too hard to be quippy. I think they realized with the first movie that Iron Man could be this funny character, these other characters around him could be funny characters, and they wanted to build off of that, but I also feel like they went a little too far with the jokes and they just didn't all land. But still a wonderful movie, a lot better than people give it credit for. Iron Man 2, I'm going to give a B+. Iron Man 3, in my personal opinion, was a disaster. They had just come off the hype of the Avengers movie, which was phenomenal, and they wanted to build on that, and in the beginning it really started to seem like they were gonna just hit another hook, line, and sinker with Iron Man 3. Having him have to face the PSD after the events in the Avengers was actually a really good idea, to make him humanized, make him feel like he doesn't know what he's going to do because he's so dependent, and now he has to feel like he has to protect the world. That I really appreciated, and it went good from there. I like the way they were portraying the Mandarin. Now, yes, the Mandarin is kind of this mystical guy with these 10 rings that can do all these crazy things in the comics, but it made sense to translate him into a modern day terrorist, especially at that time in the world. It made sense to make him that, and they did a great job. He was scary, he was intimidating. Ben Kingsley is such a good actor, but then by the third act, it kind of all went downhill. They got rid of the Mandarin and instead replaced him with the Guy Pearce character. Now, Guy Pearce is a good actor, and that character and, AIM and all that, in the comics, those are big adversaries for Iron Man, and rightfully so. They have great character arcs, but in this movie, I feel like it went two different directions, and it didn't work. The bait and switch, everyone complains about it because it ruined, basically Iron Man's arch nemesis, and then it also just ruined this whole movie. It was going in a direction that you can kind of feel. He had this revenge story about him because Happy got hurt, but then that all just kind of fell apart, and even by the end of the movie, it didn't really feel that much to it. The other part that I really didn't like is with Gwyneth Paltrow. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of her, but in these movies, I've overall liked her, except for the end of Iron Man 3. Not even all of Iron Man 3, just the end of the movie. By the end of the movie, you can tell that she went in, complained about something, and wanted more to do. Because by the end of the movie, you have her surviving a fall, which I understand she got powers, so okay, she can do that. I accept that. She hits Guy Pearce's character with a giant beam, okay? Not a problem. She saved Tony's life. I'm okay with that too. You still got me. But then at the very, very end, she smashes an Iron Man suit, which could have been used for something good, mind you. And then she scoops up the arm and she shoots Guy Pearce with a repulsor ray. And the way that scene was shot, it made her seem like she was a superhero, and she's not. She's Pepper Potts. Come on now. It just was dumb. The ending of this movie was really dumb. Although, I will give praise to the scene of Tony Stark jumping through all the different suits. That is a cool scene. Just seeing him go from suit to suit to suit and having all those suits appear. Very cool. But there's just so many things about this movie that left a bad taste in my mouth that the good parts about it really couldn't even do any justice because of how bad the bad scenes were. So, Iron Man 3, I'm going to give a C. Now, if you notice, the Iron Man movies, in my mind, progressively got worse and worse and worse. That is not true with all Marvel films. If you've heard me talk before, there's other Marvel films that I feel that each one got better and better and better, but we're going to talk about that another time. But for now, tell me what you think. Let me know in the comments which Iron Man film was your favorite, which was your least favorite, why? Let me know what movies I should do next. I really want to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, have a great one.